Hello everyone. Welcome to the news on December 19, 2022. The first one is NATO-related news. Major anti-NATO rally hits Paris streets. Protesters called for a review of France's policies towards the US-led bloc in Moscow, and denounced anti-Russia sanctions. Crowds of protesters took to the streets of the French capital on Saturday to protest France's policies towards Russia and the nation's NATO membership. The large-scale rally was organized by the right-wing Les Patriots, the Patriots Party, led by Florian Philippot, the former deputy head of Marine Le Pen's National Rally. Philippot has been organizing protests dubbed the Resistance since autumn, demanding that France leave NATO and the EU, as well as criticizing President Emmanuel Macron's economic and foreign policies. On Saturday, demonstrators were seen carrying banners and placards that read, "France must leave NATO, Macron's impeachment," and "Resistance." They were also seen waving France's national flag and chanting, "Ursula, shut up," a reference to the EU Commission head Ursula von der Leyen. The protests, in which Philippot himself took part, were triggered in particular by the high energy prices that have forced small businesses across France into closure, he explained to Ruptly video news agency. "We must stop the anti-Russia sanctions, because that does not serve peace there but brings misery here," he said. Photos and videos published by the politician on social media showed a large crowd marching through the streets of central Paris. French officials have not commented on the rally and provided no official figures as to the number of demonstrators. The French media mostly ignored the event as well. According to the website of Les Patriots, similar rallies were held in September and October. The protest also occurs as neighboring Belgium saw a massive demonstration joined by over 16,000 people in Brussels earlier this week. Thousands took to the streets in the Belgian capital on Friday to demand a freeze on spiking energy prices, and better pay, amid high inflation in Belgium and the EU. Gas and electricity prices have skyrocketed in Europe as the economic strain caused by COVID-19 was further aggravated by the fallout of EU sanctions on Moscow over the conflict in Ukraine. Russian energy supplies to the bloc were then further reduced amid the EU's attempts to rid itself of Moscow's energy imports altogether. Next newsletter. NATO announces military exercise in Kosovo. The drills come as the Western military bloc ramps up its presence in the province. NATO's mission in Kosovo announced on Sunday that it will hold tactical military exercises in the coming days. The announcement came amid tensions between Kosovo's Western-backed government and the province's Serbian minority. NATO's mission in Kosovo announced on Sunday that it will hold tactical military exercises in the coming days. The announcement came amid tensions between Kosovo's Western-backed government and the province's Serbian minority. Kosovo Force, KFOR, will conduct a regular military exercise near its base in Novo Selo, the mission announced via its Twitter account. The exercise aims to train KFOR units to guarantee freedom of movement in a crisis response situation, and it will consist of a series of tactical simulations and logistic activities. Freedom of movement may be a reference to the removal of barricades, which Kosovo's Serb minority erected around their communities earlier this month to protect against incursion by the majority Albanian province's security forces. The barricades went up after Kosovo police arrested a Serb officer last week, accusing him of attacking one of their patrols. As tensions between Pristina and Belgrade flared, ethnic Albanian officials replaced their Serbian counterparts in North Mitrovica, the largest Serb-majority municipality in the north of Kosovo. Previously, all Serb list party members, who had enjoyed a landslide election victory, resigned from their posts in protest at Pristina's now-defunct plan to outlaw Serbian license plates in Kosovo. On Thursday, Serbian President Aleksandar Vučić asked for KFOR's permission to deploy up to 1,000 Serbian troops and police officers in Kosovo, as it is entitled to do under UN Security Council Resolution 1244. This resolution, which ended NATO's bombing campaign on former Yugoslavia in 1999, allows Belgrade to send its military and police personnel to Kosovo in certain situations, including if the peaceful and normal life of its population there is threatened. While KFOR has yet to respond to Vučić's request, it told U.S. state media on Friday that it is currently evaluating the proposal. Meanwhile, KFOR announced an expansion of its own deployment in northern Kosovo on Saturday. Kosovo, which unilaterally declared independence from Serbia in 2008, has been occupied by NATO forces since 1999. Next newsletter is Poland-related news. Poland's police chief reveals details about explosive gifts from Ukraine. Ukrainian officials had reportedly assured their guest that souvenir grenade launchers were harmless. Commander-in-Chief of the Polish Police General Jarosław Szymczyk has confirmed in a radio interview that he was slightly injured by a blast when moving 2 grenade launchers given to him as gifts by Kiev officials. The explosion, which occurred inside the police headquarters in Warsaw on Wednesday, was first reported by the Polish Interior Ministry. The blast caused damage on 3 floors of the building, but there was no fire, media said. A civilian employee at the HQ also received minor injuries in the blast. When I was moving the used grenade launchers, which were gifts from the Ukrainians, there was an explosion, Szymczyk told Poland's RMF-FM radio on Saturday. The explosion was powerful, the force of the impact went through the floor and damaged the ceiling. RMF-FM also cited a source from a Polish delegation that had visited Ukraine as saying that Kiev officials gave Szymczyk 2 anti-tank grenade launchers as souvenirs. The weapons were likely German-made Matador launchers, also known as RGW-90s. According to the source, the Ukrainian side had also assured Szymczyk that the launchers were inoperable and harmless. The first launcher was reportedly given to Szymczyk by Igor Klemenko, Ukraine's top police officer. The weapon was said to have been used to fire at a Russian tank and later converted into a loudspeaker. The second launcher was presented to the Polish police chief by General Dmitry Bendar, the deputy head of Ukraine's emergency services, RMF-FM reported. Szymczyk is now expected to be questioned as a witness by the prosecutor's office, according to the outlet. Poland has been among Ukraine's top supporters since Russia launched a military operation in the neighboring state in late February. Warsaw has delivered heavy weapons to Kiev, including more than 200 Soviet-designed T-72 tanks, and multiple Polish officials have traveled to Ukraine. Moscow has also claimed that Polish mercenaries have been actively fighting in Ukraine. Next newsletter is Ukraine-related news. Zelensky aide confirms Ukraine tried to kill top Russian general. The New York Times had reported that Washington attempted to dissuade Kiev from carrying out the attack. Kiev's forces did attempt to kill Russia's Chief of General Staff Valery Gerasimov during a visit he made to the front lines in Ukraine, Alexei Arestovich, a senior aide to Ukrainian President Vladimir Zelensky, has admitted. Arestovich was commenting on a report by the New York Times on Saturday that claimed Washington, which backs Ukraine in the conflict with Russia, sought to talk Kiev out of targeting the top Russian commander back in April. The paper's sources claimed that the U.S. had concealed the information about Gerasimov's possible planned visit to the front lines from Zelensky's government, over concerns that an attack on a valuable Russian asset could provoke a direct military confrontation between Russian and American forces. The Ukrainians learned, however, about the commander's trip through their own channels. "We told them not to do it. We were like, hey, that's too much," a senior American official told the NYT. Kiev still shelled the positions where Gerasimov was thought to have been, but the general was unaffected by the strike, according to the outlet. The paper claimed the U.S. had learned of possible plans for Gerasimov to visit the front lines and decided to withhold the information from Ukraine, out of fear that Kiev might try to kill the general, potentially sparking a conflict between the U.S. and Russia, the NYT explained. The Ukrainian military had reportedly obtained the information about Gerasimov's plans anyway. Let's uncover a terrible mystery. Gerasimov was in Izium and we fired at Gerasimov. It happened, Zelensky's aide said, in a YouTube interview with Russian activist Mark Fegin on Sunday. Kiev hit the Russian battle headquarters visited by the Chief of General Staff, but Gerasimov had already left when the shelling took place, Arestovich claimed. Izium is a city in Kharkiv region in northeastern Ukraine, which had been under the control of the Russian forces between April and September. Moscow has never officially confirmed that Gerasimov traveled to Ukraine in April. According to the Russian Defense Ministry, the commander has only visited the Russian troops on the front lines in early July. On Friday, Gerasimov was among the top Russian defense officials who attended a meeting with Vladimir Putin and reported to the president on the progress of Moscow's military operation in Ukraine. Thanks for watching. Please like and subscribe for new update.